Good afternoon. This is Pastor John Rounds. I'm hosting the program Endurance today. I mentioned that quite a while ago about having some people or two to come in and basically what I want them is to testify. If they when they come to the Lord, or if they come to the Lord, there's some that actually has served the Lord through many years. I know a couple of persons that have done that, and God bless them. That is the greatest miracle I can think that nobody else can ever do in all humanity. We talk about the millionaires and the billionaires and what all they did or done. It's nothing compared to what these people have done, and being able to give their heart and life to Christ right through that time. Throughout the whole time and right into their adult life. As a matter of fact, they themselves are having children too. So not only, actually, I've seen a couple of them born, but I've seen their children born also. So that, I don't want to say my age because that would really give me away there. But that greatly blesses me, that able to see what God is doing not only in my life, in my church's life. We have a great Valley Christian Fellowship is a great church. I know there's an address to it. Be sure and find it out. If you have no church and be able to want to come to one, I highly recommend that church. It preaches all the gospel, the full gospel, nothing but the gospel. Like somebody said, I minister the gospel, so help me God. And so this is where the people are doing. Do we have people that are doing wrong in there? Absolutely. And I want to say that because I heard my wife say it quite a while ago, and that is that one of actually it was chief of police, that a couple of the people that they have gotten and arrested, and now they're going to church. And so he was saying, because he wasn't a Christian at the time, he says, you allow these people to go in? She said, absolutely. What place you'd rather them go into? To the church or to jail? And he said, well, definitely to church. And so that kind of impressed him a little bit. We do have people that come from outside that some want to get saved, and there's some that's barely hanging on, but I guarantee you they'll get in that church long enough and they'll be able to get and receive the gospel of Jesus Christ and give their heart and life over to them. It's a quick change, ladies and gentlemen. I always say it. It's a quick change. If you haven't been changed in your life, you need to give Christ your whole heart. Give him everything that you have, because in reality, the day that we're living in now, we don't have much or anything to really give him. Some people count monetary means. I guarantee you money ain't going to make a difference when they bury you underground. And my uncle was a caretaker there at one of the funeral homes, one of the services and stuff. He said, I buried the very poor, and I buried the very rich. And when I look to the ground after it's all buried, I can't tell the difference. And that is absolutely true. They didn't take their millions with them. Wouldn't do it any good. And so I heard one person say at one time that they took their $1 billion actually put in the casket with them. And when they were resurrected, the guy looked at them. He says, what is this, gold? He said, don't you know that our streets are made of gold and you're walking on top of them? And I don't know if that person made it or not. If that's what he wanted to take, I don't have a very good idea that he did make it. But however, that's where he's at. I came off last week about Jude chapter 1, verse 7. Sodom and Gomorrah, because we'll get right into it. As it was in the days of Noah, so it shall also be in Sodom and Gomorrah. Jesus said these things twice. And so I'll get to the scriptures real quickly. Jesus, again, he talked about going into, here it is. Okay, in the days of Lot, he said, let me read this, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away the ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables, in other words, unto just mediocrity or things that come into their life. In verse 5 it says, watch thou in all things. In other words, endure affliction, do the work of an evangelist, mark full proof of thy ministry. In Luke chapter 17, verse 28, it says this, likewise also, this is Jesus speaking, also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. In Genesis chapter 19, verse 24, it goes on to say this, then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. That to me, when it rained like that, it refers to, I believe, what is called a nuclear bomb. He nuclear bombed that place to where it says that no man, human being, or people will be able to live in that same place forever. Matter of fact, it's right by the Dead Sea. They kind of know the exact place where it's at in the Dead Sea, and they looked at it, and it's almost like glass. They said there's pieces and parts of glass there, and they know that was perhaps Sodom and Gomorrah there. And so that's what they're saying. It was like a nuclear, but God dropped one of those even before we even known about it or even anybody knowing about the nuclear bomb. God dropped it. He dropped it right on top of Sodom and Gomorrah. In the days of Noah, so it shall be in the days of Lot, as it was in murders, in homicides, in stealing, in getting and grabbing things, and doing whatever they could to just to grab things, irregardless. Some do it because of their nature, their claim, their culture. Others do it because they just want to do it. But all of these, I heard Pastor Randy actually said it. I was listening to him on one of his programs that he mentioned about San Francisco, that it went up some 720% in people stealing things. They said they had actually somebody that when all the cars were stopped at a red light, breaking in their windows and grabbing things, breaking another window and grabbing things. And, used to, I remember, I think around probably 5, maybe 10 years ago, they had that happen in New Orleans too. They had people breaking in and grabbing things. Then finally, New Orleans, what they said and did was that anybody who breaks in with a hammer or with anything at all, you have the right to shoot them. You have the right to kill them right on the spot, and nothing will be done to you. And they actually did that. There was a couple of people that broke in. They were shot dead, and nothing was done to them. They got their reports out, and they said, you're good to go. There's nothing we could do. They broke into your car, and you did what you had to do and stuff. And unfortunately, if they would have done that today, they would have probably had to go to, not to jail, but probably have to go to court and given a reason why they shot that person. And, the way our court system is today, it is I believe, toward the guilty and not to those that these things are happening to. I remember Ronald Reagan, same kind of atmosphere happened during Jimmy Carter's administration. And Ronald Reagan, one of his speeches, he said, I will bring law and order back to this country. And that is exactly what he did. He said, if somebody comes into your house, you could shoot them. And I think we can still do that now, but we have to really worry about whether that person has a gun, whether they're going to try to kill us, what the case may be. It's our life or their life, and the chances are we'll be able to get off on that. But, really, I don't want to take that chance. And I hope and pray that never happens. But in the time of Lot, I like what it says here. And they pressed sore. Let me go back here because it said something that really got my attention. and will need to sojourn, and he would be a judge. And he's talking about, actually what he's talking about, Lot. But there's something here that brought, they sold, they planted, they built it, upon Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and ashes, but there was something else. I can't find it right now, but it's something about flesh and being overcome by flesh. And what I believe that is about the homosexuality and about what's going on in our schools today. They have you come in and they ask either boy or girl. They want to know if you're a man or you're a girl. And basically, if you say you're a man or a boy, then they try to persuade you to say, just call yourself an it. Don't call yourself a boy or girl, just call yourself an it. And that's exactly what I've had some of the mothers come in our church say the very same thing. And they actually went to the school board and they asked them, what do you get off telling our kids this and stuff? And one mother said, it's hard enough for us to raise our kid, but if you come in there and take away their identity, what more do they have? And so it's completely the truth in that. And the homosexuality today, I think the Supreme Court, I wish I had the date and time of it, I think the Supreme Court legalized where a man can marry a man and a woman can marry a woman, and it'll be legal and stuff. And it was Trump who didn't want to bypass that in any way, but he said it was wrong too. And I believe with all my heart it is wrong. When God said there's a man and a woman, there's a man and a woman. There's no in-betweens in that. And so they got to understand that and realize that. But I like what it says in the book of Lot, actually in Genesis chapter Genesis chapter 19, where it talks about Lot. They said in verse 9 says this, he will need to be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee, in other words, with Lot, than with them, and they press sore upon them. What it means, they press, means that man, and actually it wasn't any kind of women at all, but it was man and man. They were actually pressing to know the angelical beings that came into Lot's house. Lot knew them, understood them, had them come into his house. He actually was one that said, I'll give you my 2 daughters. They've never known man, and you can do whatever you want with them. But they didn't want his daughters. They wanted these men. Excuse me. And I believe with all my heart that that's exactly the way it's going to come upon this country and every country besides that. They will become so blatant, so honest about themselves that they will actually push themselves upon boys or upon girls that actually will molest them and rape them until there's nothing more to do. But I believe that that's exactly where it's going to go today. All of man hadn't thought about evil continually, and I'm kind of waiting for that. But nonetheless, as far as the rapture is, I'm watching, waiting, seeking, looking, knocking, doing whatever I can to make sure that I'm going and make sure my wife and I, my family and I are going into the rapture. And also the family and I often call them the family in church. I often call them my own family and stuff because that's what I believe in my life. And we do think about that. When we borrow something, we give it back. If we say something, we always go there. The Lord all dealt with me over that from time to time. I tell people, I'll make it there. I told them I'll make it there when I can. And actually, it's not when I can, but I did make it there. And God told me, you're actually lying to them. And when I got to thinking about that and realized that, I repented. And I told the Lord, I'm sorry, that'll never happen again. And it never has. Generally, what I say to people, I'll make it there if I can. There could be something coming up. But if I can make it, I'll make it there. And I usually do and stuff. And so that is one of the things that happened. I want to get through this real quickly because I want to go into, I call it rapture number 2 because I kind of want to go on that a little bit. Maybe give you a little pieces and parts of that. I'll get it out in a minute. The pieces and parts of that. But I want to go on with Lot. Lot was morally and not only physically, but morally lost. The moral compass we call what is wrong and right, and what is right is wrong. And here it is in Isaiah chapter 5, and it has here verse 25. Let me go back here. I want to read that 5 and 5 for a moment because I kind of got that. Just give me a minute here. I've kind of got that mixed up here. 5 and 20. 5 and 20. It says, "Woe unto them that call," this is it. "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." In other words, it says, "Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own soul." And it goes on to this, but I like what it says here, that puts right for wrong and wrong for right. And that's exactly what the part of Lot and Gomorrah. That's why God rained down that's basically that atom bomb upon them, that no life would live there again, because they've taken not only about sex, but they've taken in such society and corruption that everything they talk about is nothing about sex. You look at the internet, it has that on there. You look at the iPhones, it has it on there. You look at anything and everything, that's what it has on there, and that's where it comes about. It comes about Lot. Lot was rampant, and they were calibrated. They wanted to have that sex, and our own society, when we say that is illegal and wrong, that they'll call us, a bigoted or corrupted. And they'll try to get to us basically because we're against the homosexuals or against these. Listen, I love these people. I would love to witness to them. There's things that I've had some come to me what I thought about them, and I was cruel what I told them. I was wrong for it. And I like to go back and being able to speak to that person and tell them I love them, but what they're going through is wrong. And I'd explain to them that what the Lord has said. That's why they want to do away with Christianity. They want to do away with that simply because because that's what we believe. Now, some people they'll take Christianity and take it all the way to the liberal side, and that's where it's all wrong there in that side. I wasn't going to do this. And I know I'm going to run out of time here. We've talked about the three. That's why people, when they talk about Israel, getting back to Israel now, about doing away with all the money that we're sending them, they're actually anti-Christ, anti-God there, because they want to have Israel be all alone in that particular place, surrounded by nations that hate them and want to basically blow them all out of the water. And so I heard one of the prime ministers say it very well when he said this: even if we have to go alone, we will do it, and we will do it handily. Israel is very powerful, even though they have a small part of land. I believe they said Israel is like Texas. When you put Texas and Israel, matter of fact, Texas I think is a little bit bigger. So when it's like that, but I was wanting to get into the churches, but I'm slowly running out of time here, and I don't want to really get into this unless I go to it. But I want to go on to Rapture chapter 2, but I don't want to do that now. But I want to do it in the next program. And so with that, I'm probably cutting it maybe just a little short. But with that, I'm going to call it a day, and I pray that you be blessed. I pray that you give your heart and life to Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, I totally believe that. I'll keep preaching it. I'll keep teaching it as long as I'm on the air. And that's what I'm going to believe, that everyone is going to, I pray that everyone come to really, really knowing the Lord, because the day's coming. The last days are here. The last days are now. And so therefore, I want to invite you along. If you don't have a church, go to VCF, Valley Christian Fellowship, and we'll be sure to honor you there, and we'll be sure to invite you there. So with that, God bless you. Have a great, great day, and we'll see you next week. The Lord bless you. Bye now.